We're joined now by Tony Lavinia of the Ateneo School of Government. Professor Tony, thank you so much for joining us. With the reactions that I just read, why the negative vibes to Bongbong's nomination? Have people not forgotten what his dictator father did from 1972 to 1986?
Yes, it's a Marcos, and people remember what happened then. And particularly because Bongbong and his siblings have actually not apologized or have not acknowledged the hurt, the corruption, and killings that happened during their father's tenure in office.
But
So, of
apart
course,
from the
idea-
martial law era, Professor Tony, are there also events in recent past that revive images of the Marcos era to our kababayans?
Well, yeah, obviously the Duterte era parallels a lot, has a lot of parallels with the Marcos era. Right now, the corruption hearings in the Senate and formally, evokes the larceny, the plunder that happened during the Marcos era, and of course the deaths that are now being investigated by the International Criminal Court is also evokes the memories of the people that were killed during the Marcos era. So the idea that we're actually going to go back to that time is shocking for many and angers many people as well.
Despite the memories of the martial law years, Professor Tony, why are the Marcoses still a formidable force? Bongbong won in the 2010 senatorial elections, and then Aimee in the 2016 senatorial elections, and many of their relatives still hold power in various local governments.
There's that concept, Rico, of the Marcos loyalist, because he stayed in power for a couple of decades, including the time when he was still not during martial law, but 8 years or 6 years elected president, and then another 14 years or so as president. He did a lot of favors with local politicians. He did some things. He built certain things. So especially consolidated support in what we call the solid north, particularly the Ilocos provinces. So of course there will be people loyal to him. We know that. Even after EDSA, the EDSA revolution, there were Marcos loyalists. And so that doesn't surprise me in the context of the Philippines, where we are very personalistic in our politics.
Against the candidates who have announced their candidacies, Professor Tony, you have Manny Pacquiao, you have Isko Moreno, and Panfilo Lacson. Does Bongbong stand a chance against any of them?
Well, right now, any one of them has a chance, because with 4 candidates and probably another 2 or 3 coming in, joining the fray, anyone with 20% can conceivably have a chance, right? So I'm not going to discount him because he has a strong base in Ilocos, right? But right now, for example, compared to Mayor Isko, he won't win against Mayor Isko, because Mayor Isko sort of represents the future, represents the new generation, right?
And Professor,
and Bongbong really represents the old, and literally speaking, the Marcos old, and as well as the older generation.
And briefly, Professor, a large part of the 2022 electorate are today's millennials and those born after the martial law years. How do you think will they vote? What issues are important to them?
Yes. Well, I think for everyone, the issue's economic, but for the young particularly, it's their future that is at stake. So the economic future, and also climate is important for the youth. Freedom of expression, because they want to dress, dance, sing, and express themselves with as much freedom as possible. The internet and the ability to use social media, those are the kind of things that resonate with young people. And of course, education.
Yeah,
Education
but
is very
Professor,
important for them.
if we go back to Bongbong Marcos, he hasn't done much over the past 5 years. We just see him for these electoral protests against Vice President Leni Robredo. Does he really have a platform? Does he really stand for anything?
No, that's the. In fact, that's why it surprises me why he would even want to run, because he has been absent for the last 5 years. Except for the protests which were handled by the lawyers, and which I'm sure his lawyers told him at the beginning that's a useless protest. It's not gonna succeed. It's not gonna win. What he should have done, what should have done in 2019, certainly, or ask for a position so that we could see his metal, right? He's kind of rusty now that he's coming back.
Right.
He's really running, Rico. Let's be clear. He's just running on the name, and hoping that he gets the old following, the loyalist following, while at the same time, believing or hoping that the young and the new
Yes.
voters would have forgotten his family's history.
Thank you so much for your insights and joining us on The Final Word. Tony Lavinia of the Ateneo School of Government.